Hey guys, and welcome back to Crafty Wargaming. I hope you've been following along with my flying hive tyrant build where I've magnetized all his weapon options so that I can use whatever I want to do when I'm playing him on the table. Now the next thing I want to do is give him an epic base. The flat base isn't good enough and I want him to look more like he does on the artwork of the box. I'm going to start by grabbing myself a piece of blue insulation foam. Now if you can't get blue insulation foam, you can use anything, polystyrene, layers of card, whatever you want. My foam was already cut to about ½ inch thick, and all I'm going to do now is draw on the rock I want. I'm going to draw around the plastic base so that I can limit myself and not go over the top with the size of the rock. But after that, I'm just going to sketch it in and find the size that works for me and what I want it to look like when it's stuck together. Once I'm happy with the shape, I'm just going to take a simple craft knife and I'm going to cut away the blue foam, chipping away, carving it, snapping bits off until I'm happy with the shape. Once I've got the shape, I'm going to check, make sure he sits on there properly, that I'm happy with it. Next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to cut off that little bit of detailing that they put on the model. I'm just going to take my modeling snips, I'm going to clip it off as much as I can. I'm not going to worry about it too much, you're not going to really be able to tell once I've added in some sand and some other details to this base. Now with that done, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to glue my foam rock to the base. Now I'm using super glue, and yeah, super glue does melt the foam, but I'm also using an activator for my super glue, which makes it set nice and quick and is going to limit how much it can actually affect the foam. The next thing you're going to see me do is pin the model to the rock. Now I actually did this wrong and decided to do it a completely different way, which you'll see a little bit later in this video. But the main principle is to take some thin wire like a paper clip or some stainless steel wire. I actually got my wire out of some old armoured cabling that we've been using at work recently. So I got mine for free, and I'm sure you can find some sort of wire around the house, whether it's jewelry wire and, like I say, some paper clips or something like that. Take a little pin drill and drill a couple of little holes all the way through the model. It doesn't matter if you go all the way through, because later on we're going to paint it, put some green stuff over it, anything we need to do to hide it, camouflage it and make it look amazing. So here you can see all I'm doing is I'm using a little bit of thick super glue to pin a couple of wires into the holes that I drilled into the tail. These are going to be used later to basically hold the model to the base. Now what you're about to see is the point at which I worked out that this wasn't going to work. I pushed it through the foam to line it up so I could drill some holes through the plastic base, but then when I come to trying to actually feed the model through, I just could not get the holes all to line up. It was really frustrating, and in the end you'll see me pull the wires out of the model and go back up through the bottom, which was a lot easier, and I probably should have done it that way from the start. Having already pinned the wires in once, obviously I was going to need to do a little bit cleanup, make sure that the holes were nice and clear, and get rid of some of the excess glue from the first attempt at pinning it. So you can see now that I've pushed the wire up from the bottom, I've given myself a little bit at the top for me to put the model onto afterwards, and then I've just bent the end of the wire over and used some thick super glue and some activator to set it off nice and quick. Pretty simple. I don't know why I didn't think of it from the start. I did the exact same thing for the other wire, so now I've got 2 wires poking right through the base, through the rock, ready for me to sit the model onto. Now with the wires already coming through the rock, it was just a case of slotting the wires back through the tail and adding another little bit of super glue just to secure it all in place. And that's basically it. It was pinned on, it was done, it was simple. The second time round I did it. Using a pair of wire snips, I just snip off the excess, find a little file out of my toolkit, and just file off the sharp edges from the wire. And maybe later on I'll put a little bit of green stuff on it, or some sand, or anything that might camouflage it a little bit, but I'm not too worried. Once it's been painted, I don't think you're going to see it that much. Now this is my favourite part, getting to add the little details. So I like to use super glue so that it's done nice and quick and I can get on to the next stage. But all I'm doing here is putting a little bit of super glue in set points around the rock, dropping on some big rocks, then some slightly smaller rocks, and then a little bit of sand. And I just repeat this process 2 or 3 times around the base until I'm happy. What you can also do is use a little bit of tin foil, scrunch up into a ball, and then roll it over the soft foam. Especially with this blue foam, it adds some really cool detail and texture and makes it look even more realistic once it's all painted up. Once I'm happy, I've added in enough extra details such as small stones, rocks, and some texture to the big stone. All I'm going to do is I'm going to seal it all up with some black acrylic paint. Now, I'm not using expensive paints, I'm not using Citadel paints or anything like that, I'm just using some local hobby store acrylic paint. It's just to seal it in, hold all the loose sand and everything like that, and just finish it all up so that it's ready to be primed and properly painted later. One thing to do at this stage is not be shy with the paint. Slap on loads of paint, make sure that it covers all the crevices, recesses, cracks. We don't want to have as little of that blue foam showing as possible. Once it's dry, that's it guys, it's ready to paint. We can go and spray the model now with primer, and we can put in all the details we want with the textures, dry brush in, and then anything extra afterwards. Grass tufts, extra little sticks, anything like that. Guys, I really hope you enjoyed this video. It's the first time I've voiced over anything, and I hope it wasn't too bad, and hopefully I'll get better in the next video. Cheers for watching guys, take it easy.